when you've got that confidence and you start, sometimes it's just small accomplishments that build up. You say, you look at what you did and you think, oh, I made that video and then I edited that video, and that just builds upon itself again and again.
It's like a childlike feeling of how you would get that gold sticker and you're like, Mom,
yes,
gold sticker I got. It's funny, I'll find myself when I'm being creative and I'm looking at my products and the products of my work, I'm taking it all in. It's like I'm having a gold sticker moment with my inner child.
If I meet someone and I get this intuitive hit, like this person can teach me something, I need to interview them, then I'm reaching out. So that's with you. I just felt like I love your energy. I love your confidence. And even though I feel like I'm confident, I can learn more. And so can everybody who's listening.
Yeah.
Me, self-love is one of the foundational things that if you aren't working on that, it's hard for the rest of your life to be quality.
Absolutely. 100%. I don't think I really like truly loved myself, like in terms of self-love. I loved myself, but in terms of like taking care of myself and truly like trying to better myself for myself, I don't think I really was able to do that until this year. I'm going to be real. Because last summer, I broke up with a toxic boyfriend, and I was just going through some things, and I lost my grandma in January, and, it went through some more things. And, I just kind of had to spend a lot of time by myself, and just kind of dive into my passions. And that's what helped me realize, wow, look at what I can do. Look at how cool, the stuff I do is. I think I said that right.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but it helped me because it's like I realized I was very reliant on external validation. I feel like these days it's easy to kind of get caught up in that with like the Instagram, and even in my line of work, it's like, I'll get to that in a second, but it's like, you have to look within. You have to. It's like, how do you expect, flowers or like any plant to grow if you're not going to like tend to it?
Yeah.
You're the same, humans, us, we're the same. So you got to take care of yourself. You can't really expect, like, who else is going to do it,
Right. Oh, I 100% agree. And I love how honest you were about it just happening this year, because I know at certain points in my life, it's almost like I feel like I had to kind of prop myself up. That's how it feels to me, of like, I'm going to pretend, fake it till you make it. I'm going to pretend that I'm confident. And eventually the confidence comes on board. Usually.
That's what I did. What I did. It helps, sometimes you feel silly because you're like, God, I don't really believe it. But it's like, you got to start somewhere. If you don't believe in yourself, then no one else will. And it's like, whatever you got to do to get to that point, do it. I'm all about progress and results. I get so bored of like, if I don't see any progress or any milestones being reached, I kind of give up on a project, or I just get bored or burnt out or just tired of the same old. And, it just is like, there's just little things I think that we could all do for ourselves daily to remind us of how amazing we all are, how fortunate we are. Because I think we forget a lot of what's really important. We get so caught up in just what's really not important. And when you just take time to yourself or with your loved ones or whatever's comfortable for you, it's like you just realize a lot. Like, I realized I was putting myself around people because I didn't want to be by myself. Yes. But then I also really needed alone time, but I did not want to be by myself. And I kind of always had a boyfriend, and I've been single for a year and living alone for a year, and it's amazing. Like, I've learned myself living alone. Like, I've had pets and all that. I had to get rid of everything and just fully be in solitude. And, it's weird because I felt silly sometimes too. Like, if I like had a mental breakdown and I was completely by myself, I'm like, okay, it's okay. Like hugging my, like, it's okay. No one's here. Like, you have to let it out somewhere. And just like almost teach yourself the unhealthy patterns or coping mechanisms that you've taught yourself over the years, or just ways of living. I feel like life is meant to be lived. I mean, this is why I'm leaving LA. It's so expensive, and I already have such a different lifestyle to where it's like, okay, living here, I'm going to have to work twice as hard. I'm not even happy. My body of life. I think I have a good life because I'm in my pink apartment all day. You know what I mean? I go outside, get my wine, come back. I'm a homebody. But it's like, it's like I'm not even really enjoying it. I can find any excuse to say FLA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can find so many, but it's just the little things like that I learned about myself, like what I needed and what was important. I had to just listen to myself. I had to ask myself, what do you really want? And I remember I was crying on my couch. And I was like, I just want to be alone. And I got that. And I blossomed. I just had more, like, less stress and more time to do like my painting or my editing and just creative outlets, really. Like, they helped me tremendously with like recentering myself and finding ways just to like believe in myself again. Because in my industry,
Yes.
I don't shoot a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
it does something to your psyche when in the porn industry you're being told no.
Oh, wow.
And I know I'm a beautiful girl,
Yeah.
and the industry it's based on exploitation. Let's be straight up.
Right.
But it just sucks because it's like, I don't want to have to do this yet because I'm not ready to, or I don't want to give you guys, pardon my French, my anal virginity because I'm not getting paid what I believe it's worth.
Yeah.
And that's what you guys got, like all these things.
Yeah.
And yeah, like when I first got in, I was very, very insecure. I would edit the shit out of my photos, like to a T, and I would wear like so much makeup and like, you know, I went through all the beauty phases, but looking back, like I remember I just was nowhere near where I am today. Like I would read the comments and, you know, like it took me a couple scenes to get confident because, you know, when you go on camera and you do the do, you're like, oh, I really look like that. You're like, oh,
yeah.
Let me brush up a little bit, you know? But I was like, wait, that's me. And so, you know, I got my scenes when I was new and then they fizzled out. And I was like, oh my God, wait, like that's all I have left on the internet of me. And it really messed with me. Yeah. And then on top of that, I was in a toxic relationship. And then I wasn't making, I just was in such a bad, low vibrational space to where I'm like, okay, fine. I'll just make my own stuff. I'll edit my own stuff. I'll be in total control of what's being put out of me, which is what I want anyway. Can you imagine shooting all that stuff and it doesn't come out for maybe 3 months later and you don't like the way you look? And then you may not get a phone call for another year. It's like, that's just not like, what am I doing it for? You know?
Yeah.
So just like taking that control, like I'm in such a happy place at this point. Like sorry to like go on a rant, but like,
no, you should go on a rant.
I didn't realize like, you asked just such a good question. If you even asked one, I think I kind of just started talking, but
yeah, that's okay.
Honestly, I'm like, I don't think you asked me anything. I think I just kind of like started the convo, but yeah, like I never really sat back and like compared then to now. And so it's just nice to realize, wow, you've come a long way, and mentally too, you know? Yeah.
Yes. Well, and I didn't know you before, but I can tell what you're saying of how much you've changed. And I also really love and respect your dedication to, like you said, you're laying on the couch crying, and then I need to be alone. And I'm big on alone time too, because if you never have alone time, you never actually hear what's going on inside or what you need and what you feel.
Yep. Never recharge. You're just, you have to be alone. And it's like, being alone isn't that bad. Like, even if it's just like, I don't think I can live with a boyfriend again for a very long time, because it's like, I need my like 8 hours a day of like being left alone. You know, where I gained my power back at was, you know, even though I kind of have this free schedule, I make myself get up early, 9 to 5, I'm doing some kind of work. I have that routine. So it's like, for me, I need to be able to focus. I don't want distractions because I have a good rhythm going. I have to be busy. I have to be productive doing something. And like, just, I don't want the distractions. It's really hard in my industry and in the world these days, I think, because there's just so much weird shit going on. It's hard to just find people who understand. I just need some space. It's nothing personal. I literally just like, maybe I want to go number 2. Maybe I want to take a nap. Maybe I want to take my hair extensions out and, you know, fart and be by myself. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I've realized there's just a lot of people who, you know, like, this is why it's so good that you're doing this, because someone's going to see this that's like, you know what, maybe I need alone time. You just, people do need a lot of healing, you know, and I'm still healing tremendously, but a lot of people are not, they're not really aware of, you know, what they really need, what's really important for them as people, as individuals, just as humans, like, you know, sun, alone time, good sleep, less stress, like, or to like no stress if you can, like, but living in LA, I've just seen what people, the superficial stuff people care about, and I rode the wave for a bit. I'm not gonna lie, I was keeping up with the Joneses, but now I'm like, oh my God, what am I having to do to play catch up? And it's like little thing, like when you ask yourself those questions, I actually do feel like you get somewhere. Like, I don't mind being honest with myself. I may laugh in there and go like, oh my God, so embarrassing. But it's like, you're supposed to be your own best friend. You know, you're not supposed to be embarrassed of yourself. You know, you know what I'm saying? It's
definitely.
Like, think about it. It's like my mom, right? We're close, but there's things that I would just never tell her, or I'm learning that I just like me as my best friend right now. I trust me to take care of me. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm like a one woman machine. And there's nothing wrong with needing other people either. Some people are just like that, but I just think at some point we need to just tap into what we really need. And that's the big thing about self-love, is taking care of your needs. I had to help a friend recently, and she's like, I'm like fucking up on my self-care. And I'm like, oh my God, girl, like that's my favorite thing. Like, start with running a simple Epsom salt bath. Like the little things, little walkers, get like, you don't even have to like splurge. Like just start there. And like women, like we like to feel like, pretty and good, and just feeling good. And so it's just, she's been doing better. It's been like a couple weeks, and she's getting her mojo back. And I'm like, look, all it took was for you to take that one bath.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, like, the little things. And I know, like, to some people it's not a big deal, but just having that relaxation time by yourself where you can hear your own thoughts. You're not, like when I was living with my ex, I have a pretty big studio, but it's still a box. There's no doors. And I just was like, I'm like, God, like when do I have time to talk to myself? Like, what I mean? I'm like, I would be like, can you go to the gym? Like, I literally need to have a conversation. Like, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm really excited just to be a part of this podcast, as I've learned so many self-love tips and like techniques and things that have helped me within the last 6 months. Like when I look back to January, I was in such a shitty place mentally. Like, oh my God. Like drinking a lot, and like I like to get like lit, I like to smoke my weed, drink my wine, but there's a part where it becomes a time where it becomes excessive, and I noticed that I do that, and so it's just a lot of people are living crazy, not replenishing, you know what I mean? I'm trying to preserve while I still have certain things intact, and just having insight, I think, is what it really boils down to. Being able to look within, and that does take a certain level of honesty. Can be pretty scary, but but when it's with yourself, like, what are you gonna hit yourself? It's okay. You know what I mean? It's like there's nothing to be afraid of, to just be okay with yourself. But I realize a lot of people aren't, and it sucks, because it's like you're holding yourself back in a way from like your full potential.
Yes. Well, and I love how you said, I wonder if in your industry it's even more important that you have a way, like you said, to cultivate it, because if you're hearing no, it's very easy to start thinking, okay, they're rejecting me, and maybe I need to be better in some way, or different, or I don't know, like enhance my body in a different way, because that's what's expected.
And that's another big thing I do want to touch on, is like my physical image. So when I got in, I remember I had just terminated a pregnancy. Actually, I had a boyfriend who we did not work out. He wanted me to keep it, and I'm like, no, we're breaking up. It was right before my 21st birthday. That went through. I got him porn, and I was in great shape. But when those no's started coming in, the drinking and smoking picked up, and the unhealthy habits, and the happy weight, of my new relationship. And so when I did get those phone calls again, I wouldn't be as confident, because I'm like, okay, I just wasn't really taking care of myself. I wasn't going on my daily walks. I was busy arguing with my new boyfriend. So it's like, it was just like a lot of negative. And then I would, like, that's when you're doing this, at least for me, like there's people who have vanilla jobs while they're in my industry, but me, this is my whole world. You know what I'm saying? This is my life. And it doesn't consume me to where I'm like seeing sex all the time. I really just kind of, I'm doing a lot of different things, but it takes up a big part of my life. So when that kind of goes to shit, you almost start to feel like you're losing like some self-worth, I believe, if that's the right term. It's like you feel like, could you imagine being rejected in the porn industry? Like, no offense to the beautiful ladies out there, but the industry has taken a hard left. The content that's being produced from these major studios, it's not the best. The girls, I like the older era of porn stars with like the big fake boobs, and like I love the porn star glamour. It's changed. It's more to girl next door. To be honest, whatever. You don't have to be attractive. You literally just have to have genitalia. No offense to anybody. That's the truth, and you have to be willing. If I don't want to take a low risk to do anal, something I'm not ready to do, it doesn't matter. Then I won't get booked. They have a ton of other girls that could. They may need just the black girl. It doesn't matter what she looks like. You know what I mean? And so I've been doing it for 4 years, and it just, my bookings were so spread out, and I was always looking forward to these bookings where months would go by. And, you know, I wish I would have came up with the idea to come out with my own platform or site, which is what I'm working on now.
Oh,
sooner.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. But I wish I came out with that, the idea sooner, but I was so hung up on getting that validation from shooting for these major companies. And it's like, I've shot for a lot of them, but the industry will make you think, oh, you haven't shot like 300 scenes. I'm like, well, that's not normal.
Wow. That seems like a lot to me.
I don't want to have that much sex. And then mind you, you're on set for 8 hours, maybe.
Okay.
Like, you're getting $1,000. Now, in my personal time, when I see people, if people want to pay me for my time, I get that in like an hour. So I'm sitting here and I'm weighing the pros and cons, and I just had to have these honest talks with myself. And I was looking at myself in the past with these dirty sunglasses. Like, now to where I look at my old scenes and I'm like, I look just fine. But I was so broken in here. You know what I mean? I didn't believe that I was pretty. You know, I had my boyfriend. Like, I thought he was love bombing me. He could have been real. I don't know. But I just was like, I didn't believe it. And then, like I said, now I'm looking back on my old stuff and I'm like, oh my God, I remember this day I felt so fat. You know what I mean? I felt this and that. And now I'm like, God, like, I just give myself a hug, because it's like, you live and you learn. But 4 years of my 21 to where I'm now 25, it took me 4 years to realize, to snap out of it. You know, and realize nothing is wrong with you. But this is just why I also want to help girls in the industry figure out like other things to do within it and not just perform. Because when you just perform, it's based solely on your image, and so many things can go wrong with that. You know, you can develop like all types of like narcissism and just be so full of yourself, which I'm gonna be real with you. I've dealt with some shitty guys this year, like flings, to where I'm like, I'll be a little narcissist for a bit. I'll pump my head up.
That's okay.
I'll be a narcissist, whatever. But you know what I mean? Like, I'll be okay with that. But it'll sometimes get inflated for some people to where it's like, you know, they'll think they're more important than others and whatever. But we're also just here waiting for that phone call. We're all just still here. You know what I mean? Or, you know, a lot of the girls will have like eating disorders and just fucked up stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, all this for porn. For porn. But a lot of people don't think, oh, I'll just make my own. They may not have the resources. They may not have the creative drive or the drive in general. Like for me, I even literally like, there's days where I'm like, oh, I just don't feel like doing it. You know, I don't feel like doing it. I feel like sitting in front of and then I get that flow and I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing it for 8 hours and I'm so happy. But it takes a lot of willpower. And when you're so burnt out from that unhealthy amount of no's, daily life, some people have children, husbands, regular jobs, you know, and I was really hard on myself at some point too, to where I would burn myself out on purpose, because I saw how lax my life was and how fortunate I was. And I would feel bad because I'm like, okay, well, this person's like working their ass off. And let me like overwork myself so I feel like I'm doing something. But that was a problem. I was comparing myself to other people to where I didn't know what the hell they had going on behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? What I do know is I compare myself now to myself then. And when I started thinking like that, I was like, you're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good. You know what I mean? And I don't think a lot of people, like, what's the one saying that everyone's talking about now? Like, oh, like when you talk to yourself, remember you're talking to your inner child. That's one of the best things I've seen on the internet. Cause I'm like, that's so true. It's true. It's that self-talk. And I always forget that's what put me down that rabbit hole of just like self-loathing for the past couple of years. And it just, you gotta just walk. You have, again, self-love, be kind to yourself. It's easier said than done, but I don't know, just it's as small as just being kind to yourself, doing little things, just starting small, making yourself a nice wholesome lunch, like just nourish from the inside out. And it's all surface level things I to some people, but it's something, because I feel like a lot of people just aren't really loving themselves and spoiling themselves, and maybe they're waiting for a man to do it, and it's like, no, just do it for yourself. Like, don't wait for the guy. You know? He's not So.
Or if you're not doing it, you're not going to attract the guy who wants to do that.
That's a big, okay. So what sucks about that is I'm still getting over that, because I have my days where I do get in my own head, and my anxiety will just become a motherfucker. And you know, I'm trying to get off the drinking and smoking, take my breaks, and there's days where I'm like, I just need to smoke some indica to get my brain to shut off, because I know, okay, if I wallow in this, because I've seen I've gotten a bunch of bookings just from thinking I'm gonna make money this week.
That's awesome.
It's insane, the power of the mind. And it's like, I let myself have those days where I'm like, I feel so like shit. I let myself have those days, because it's, you know, you're supposed to feel, but I don't wallow. I try to look around and go, okay, well, look what you've done for yourself. Maybe I'll look at a picture of me and go, look at how good I look, and I'll get in a good mood, and I'll go, you know, dress up and shoot more stuff to make me more money. Just, it's a good cycle, you know what I mean? But how do you get yourself out of that? Because for so long, like, I've been in this apartment for 3 years. I've had this camera for 3 years, and I didn't start using it until last year. Wow. So that goes to show you, and I'm doing stuff that people think is being shot by, you know, someone. It's just all me and my brain power and my editing skills and all this stuff. And I'm like, God, I was in just such a survival mode last year.
Yes.
Where I didn't even have the just the mental stamina to give a fuck to do any of that.
Right.
I just did. And that's okay. Because it's like, we don't even have like a guaranteed 100 years anymore in this crazy world. So it's like each day and each day you spend just kind of like, you got to live with a purpose. That's it. To paraphrase, you sort of live with a purpose. You have to live with intent. I like to get up every day and say, I'm going to do this today. And each day, each time I check something off my to-do list, I like pat myself on the back. I tell myself, good job. You know what I mean? I live alone. Who else is going to tell me? But it's like little things like that, like getting things done, they help. There was a point where I wasn't doing anything. Me and my boyfriend at the time were in here depressed together. You know, feeding off each other's depressive energy, gossiping, eating, and just looking back, I'm like, oh my God, like we're still friends now, but we were just in such like a low place, and he wasn't getting work either. Right. And we would sit and be so frustrated until I got the genius idea, I'll just start my own production. Duh. But again, not everybody can do that. And I had to help him out of a rut a lot. I'm more of an optimistic person, but he's more pessimistic. And so I don't know, I'm a lover. So I just naturally felt like the need to, you know, make the person feel better. And that took a lot out of me. A lot. That energy, just being around that dark, sad energy all the time, whether we've squashed beef or you're still around it. And like, this is why it's just so important to have that time to yourself, to recharge, to breathe, to think, to process whatever you could have just went through, all types of stuff, you know, little things like that.
Yes. And like you're saying, I'm so glad you brought up about how when you're in these depressive states, or even if it's not depressed, if it's just a lot of negative self-talk, you don't have the energy to think, oh, I'm going to do a production thing, or I'm going to be creative, or I'm going to express myself, because you're putting yourself down. So why do you want to express yourself? Because you don't even love who this person is.
Right. You're not even inspired. What are you inspired by?
Exactly.
You are, that's okay. You know, that's your type of artwork, sure. But it's like, that's not how things usually work. And it just like, but a lot of my paintings are unfinished because I get these giant canvases, and I get these like ADHD spurts of energy. I'm like, I want to paint, and then 30 minutes goes, I'm like, okay, I'm bored, and you know, I'm on to the next thing. But and that's what I love about myself too, is that energy I have. When I was in these states, I just didn't have them. I would still find ways to laugh, and it maybe was because I was high off of marijuana. But you know, I'm a joyous person. I'm a joyous person at the end of the day, deep down. But it's like just the spark I have. You know, I wake up every day and I'm just excited because I feel like I'm not responsible for anyone else. I'm not being blamed for anyone else. I have a really good relationship with myself, and I think actually recently I had to start talking to other people about my problems. I got so used to dealing with things on my own. I started seeing this guy, like just like dating him lightly. And all I had was like my one opinion on what happened. And I was like, I have to find one of my girlfriends. And I usually don't care to go to other people with my drama, because I just don't care about, you know what I mean? I hate to say it in a rude way, but I just know it's good for me. There are a lot of people that I'm surrounded by that just don't understand, especially in my line of work, you know what I mean? And I just have different problems than a lot of my friends. So and most things I can handle on my, but this, I was like, I need someone to help me with this. But again, I was able to look inward and feel certain feelings. Like, I don't like being uncomfortable. None of us do. But I did notice, like, there were certain things I would bring up in front of my girlfriend, and I would just like freak out. I'd be like, oh, I didn't want to hear the truth. Right. And I'm like, okay, I'm being honest with myself, but to my level of honesty, of course I'm gonna like not be disciplined with myself. I'm gonna give myself a little cheat, especially when something's hurtful. You know what I mean? But that's it. If I never was alone to begin with, I would have never even known, hey, I need someone. I would have been just so burnt out and exhausted still from having, you know, my social battery constantly drained, me being pulled on for support. I would have never had the time to look into myself, have those couple breakdowns last year that brought me back up to a point of, okay, now I think I know what I need.
I'm so excited to tell you about the upcoming book, Talk to the Trees, written by myself, Rachel Strivelli, psychic, creative, and nature lover. Talk to the Trees is a short book that's somewhat practical, somewhat metaphysical, totally amazing, very spiritual, about connecting to the wisdom of the trees, actually literally talking to them, metaphorically talking to them, learning from the wisdom of these elder beings related to what can we gain from them in terms of resilience, how to get through hard times, how to approach the times that we're in. What do trees know about love, family, connection, and dealing with hardships of life? There's so many great things in this very short book. You can buy it at the places linked below. I would love it if you check it out, share it with a friend, buy it for a friend, and spread the word.
There was a point where I was just so immature as well. Like, I was so immature. Like, looking back, like, I used to have like the worst, like, emotional, like anyways, that's the past. But you know, you look back at life, sometimes you cringe, but it's, you know, I did realize, you know, I need to hear other opinions sometimes, but from a well-rounded person. And again, me being alone, I realized, okay, cool. I separated myself from everybody to where I had no negatives around me, no one. And I kind of just reemerged the scene, and I had like a fresh set of new eyes.
That's great.
Pretty much. After I think, after January, things I don't know if I grew up a bit, but maybe some of that, and maybe just me kind of just having a breakthrough, you know, kind of spreading my wings, getting my true independence. You know, I never really did feel independent having my boyfriend live here, because I'm like, okay, I have like a roommate, and you know, I didn't really believe in myself until this year, you know, until I looked back and I said, like, when we just got on the phone, and I just had that moment of, holy shit, wow, that did all happen. And that was this year, you know. That's when I realized how far I've come, is when I look back and I dissociate a bit, because I'm like, wait, because I have a lot of shit that happens in my life. Good things, but it's a lot that goes on, and sometimes you forget the events that make you who you are. You know, we'll change a couple times in our lives, I'm sure, but who I've been this past year, like, I'm just like really happy and comfortable with myself. And I know I love to talk about like doing all the girly things and like all the superficial stuff that falls under self-care. And for so long, I thought that's what it was. I'm so girly anyway. I just do that shit anyway. But I wasn't taking care of what was in here. And the minute I started doing that, things just started getting better. And, you know, like watching YouTube, there's so much good YouTube stuff. Like, let's say you're an introvert, you don't want to go talk to people. Right. You still need to be giving yourself some kind of positive intake. You know, I watch a lot of TV, I watch a lot of Netflix, but YouTube, if you find the right people to watch, like, even just getting those differing opinions while you're working on your healing, and, you know, just stuff like that. I'm telling you, it's just, we have so many resources. I know we like have such a fast-paced world, but there's so many resources that we can get access to, or we already have, that we can use to help us, you know, internally, currently, and it's easier said than done. I mean, I feel like I can talk shit because I've come a long way. Like, I wish you could almost be a fly on my wall. Like, I went through like just me by myself going crazy in here, like screaming because I'm just like, you know, on the verge of like hitting something because I just was so frustrated with my life. And it's like I went to go see my mom in Miami for 2 weeks, and then I was like, Mom, I have to stay for a month. I had just rehomed my puppy. I felt like shit about that, but I physically could not take care of him because I didn't have the energy to walk him. I was still getting drunk as hell. I was going to do so much. I don't even remember, but it was a lot. And I stayed for a month, and I had to slow down a bit to realize what was going on. Yeah. The fact that, like, I know time flies, but that 4 years, I had to really sit away from my environment because I work out of my home. And it's like, I had to be somewhere else. You know, I had to be somewhere, especially my mom's place. It was a safe place. Yes. I knew, you know, there's always going to be food on the table. I don't have to go have sex to pay my bills.
Right, exactly.
That peace of mind, of mind. You know, some people can't get away. Maybe some people don't have, you know, an escape. Outdoors. If I'm in a weird mood, I just want to lay in the sun for like an hour, and I just I feel rejuvenated. I look at the birds, and I just get away from that screen because that screen it can ruin your day. It can ruin your day, and it can really ruin your day. I had a stalker. Oh my God. This is also why I hate California because he uploaded videos of me that I didn't know he took on Pornhub. He doxed me. He put out my name. He was tagging all the porn companies. And I went to the judge and I'm like, Your Honor. And it was a female judge. And I'm like, who's going to have my back? Woman with woman, right? She fucking fully denied it. Didn't even partially grant me the restraining order. The guy showed up to my front door at 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Oh my gosh. He still to this day will send texts and email and I'll see it and I just get so annoyed. And I'll tell myself, okay, calm down. But I don't like how this person has access to me in my moods. Right, you know what I mean? Exactly. And it's like, I don't like that. I'll be on my phone, but I'll have it on Do Not Disturb. Or I'll just try to like go on unfollowing sprees to clean up my feed. Yes. Just stuff like that. Like whatever I can do like I'm a control freak. Who doesn't want control of their life? I want to control everything I'm consuming. I want to control it because when I was out of control, that's when I was in shambles. Yes. I felt like, you know, I was just floating through life, drunk, just not even like happy. Yes. And mind you, my body, like I still look good, but I would be bloated. And I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to perform? Look at this. You know what I mean? Just stuff like that. And that insight, I'm telling you, like the insight is something that, you know, I realize a lot of people don't have, and it's nothing wrong with that. We all learn at different phases of life. But insight, go ahead.
Yes. Oh, I want to say to me also, I mean, I know control is one way to put it, but I'm also thinking about boundaries because it's a simple thing to do not disturb. I'm going to unfollow and tell yourself, I don't care what they think about me. I need to protect myself. Everybody doesn't get access to me. And, you know, it's like, and you have a super extreme version of like somebody who really thinks they can have access to you or videos and all this. And it's like, so you taking that control back and saying, no, going to a judge, like, I'm sorry that you had to go through that and that she wasn't supportive. And I admire you for being like, this is my life. This, you know, this is my content. And I'm going to do what I can to set boundaries, to not give people access to make me feel bad all day for some stupid thing that he's doing for who even knows why.
Because I don't want him. I told him so many times I'm not. It was just strictly business. It was like a little transactional, and you know we were friends, but he would get very possessive over my work, and I'm like, we're not dating, and it just got really eerie. You know what I mean? He moved from New York all the way to California. And it sucked because I realized I'm talking to this person and I'm suffering, but they're giving me money. And I think, and that's something that happened this year / last year that made me realize, we got to figure something out because this isn't fair to me. And I'm glad you said that word boundaries because that's something control is such a negative, basic term that I don't think we should even use when it comes to defending what we're allowed to defend, aka our beings or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a boundary. And a lot of people don't like boundaries. Like if I'm saying, hey, don't do this, respect that. What are you gonna do? Punch me in the face if I don't let you? It's crazy. And a lot of people overstep. But again, we have to look inward and look at why these people continually have access.
Right.
That's why my phone is on do not disturb. You know what I mean? I don't want to be having a great day and then I just see that text. Because unfortunately, a lot of people have my phone number. You know what I mean? And all the notifications and just crap like that. You know. And I'm a moody girl, so my mood could just and it'll change again and just whatever. So just that's how I take control. I take control over my life and my happiness and my peace with little things. And for me, like there's no FOMO. Like I'm on my phone anyway, even though it's on D&D. I just don't want to be bothered because I know myself to where it's like, okay, let's say I get an annoying text. That'll just I know myself enough to know this is going to get on my nerves. So if someone's, and I don't like to think like that, but it's almost like I'm preparing myself. It's just something that I'm doing right now in the meantime. Because like I said, I'm still a work in progress. There's little things that I notice about myself that I still do that I'm like, oh, that's not cute, or let's stop doing that in the next year or so. Like just little things. And again, that's another thing too. When it comes to the healing process, I think social media is great when it comes to sharing tips and like, advice on how to practice self-care. But, I think it's like, again, there's different ways to do it that work for each individual. For me, I have to talk to myself a lot. I have to talk. I don't like to be in my own head too much. I have so many thoughts and it's a party in there. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, okay, which one? You know what I mean? Like, so there's days where I have to kind of just talk to myself and, just have a conversation with myself. Cause again, I live alone. I don't like having people over like that. I don't have a dog. And sometimes I just want to talk to me, and even like, let's say I am having one of those bad days. What I'll actually do is say, hey, what's wrong? Why are you upset? A lot of the times I don't even know why I'm upset. And at that point, if I don't even know why I'm upset or if it's silly, I kind of get over it. But if I sat there and I kind of wallowed and I was passive aggressive to whatever, myself, whoever crossed my path, like that's not solving anything. But for so many years of my life, that is how I dealt with issues. And it's just funny when like, you mature a bit, you're healthier in terms of like coping mechanisms and whatnot, you realize, oh my God, I have a lot of unhealthy patterns that I still have to unlearn, but at least I'm learning. People who are much older than me that have some questionable traits, good people, but questionable traits, where I'm like, oh no, like this is another reason why I kind of picked myself up again, because I said, okay, look at how smart I am. It's not just looks, but look at what I'm able to bring to the world.
Yes.
You know what I mean? My girlfriends will ask me like for help, and it's like I have to remind myself that's the fact that they trust you enough. You know, they don't ask you for help, they ask you, or the fact that you're able to be self-aware. Like these are all good things that I think we all overlook. That I think we should pat ourselves on the back for every day. Like seriously. You know, it's something that's adding more positive energy to your world, your immediate world. And I'm telling you that I had a soul reader. She told me, she goes, watch what comes out of your mouth, because it can come to life. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a good thing, because that means I can manifest money. But she was right though. She was right, because I didn't even realize, like sometimes in the past, like what I was saying, like the such ugly things I would say out of hurt. Right. And I again, being alone by myself, like on like a Cabernet Sauvignon kind of night, just thinking, reflecting and cringing, like, oh my God, I really behaved like that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So just real like noticing how, I don't want to use a totally bad word, but off-putting my behavior was. But again, I'm still young, but at some point it's important to have that personal growth, and I have had that. But again, if I'm so focused on these negatives, me not getting shoots, what's going wrong in my attitude,
Right.
not gratitude. How could I possibly, if my mind is so caught up with that, how could I possibly sit somewhere and look at little things like that? Because again, we overlook them,
Yes.
but they're still big deals, you know, because
Yeah.
they reflect a good sense of a good character. You know,
Right.
they reflect a lot of things. But again, it's like the power of the mind, the power of the mouth. This is kind of why I don't talk to many people either. You know, I get so many people who come with predispositions because of what I do. And mind you, have never even heard me like form a complete sentence because they just see me on Instagram or see me in a movie. And I'm like, okay, so that sucks that you're so like ignorant to base me off of like whatever.
Right.
But again, that's what I mean. There's so much of that around, and it's like when no one else is there to do it for us, do it for yourself. Even if someone is there, always tell yourself, "Good job, because we forget we're in a really crazy world." You know, this is why I don't watch the news. It's some sick shit going on, but there's just like a lot of meanness, a lot of evilness, a lot of callousness. You know, unprovoked for no reason, and it's like even to ourselves. You know, it's just. The self-love thing, it stems, you can just go on and on about how so many aspects and parts of your life have to deal with self-love. Yes. When you love yourself, it's like, again, you're like, you blossom into this flower, you radiate. It's insane, but you have to believe these things. See, you just take it till you make it, but I did that for a while and it worked, and it's like, you believe it to some extent, but if you don't believe it at all, you won't even show it on your face. You know what I mean? So it's like if you believe that, and you know, you have all these good qualities. You know, you're waking up trying. You're trying. You know, you're doing something. You know, you're not just wallowing in woe is me, being like an Eeyore. You're doing something for your community or your friend group or your family. Just you're doing good. You know, if you used to do good, it's like at some point you kind of forget the bad. And I know it's easier said than done, and people have different lives and different resources, but it's like it's the little things. It's really the little things. Conversations with strangers, like little things like that. Like I like to smile and laugh, and then you meet other people who like to smile and laugh, and it's when you get out of that negative rut, that sad, depressive rut, things just start to come together. And like I said, some people, it could take them years, you know? But once you come out of it, life is more beautiful. I had to tell my ex so many times, well, did you have a good day at least? You know, just to kind of be a bitch because I was mad at him. But did you have a good day at least? You know, what good happened today? Because we could talk about the pities of the world all day long. What's that do? You know, today did suck. Acknowledge that. Tomorrow's a new day. Let's go have a drink and talk about something. Like anything to get out of that state of just, because it's so dangerous. I have so many girlfriends who like have their whole lives ahead of them and they're just so depressed, and rightfully so. We're in a crazy time. And just again, a lot of people, they just have stuff going on, but a lot of them don't have support systems. It's not either. I had exterior support before I had inner support, for sure. I definitely had that, and it wasn't until I was so exhausted of just being around other people, and I started having these, mental breakdowns, crying and just being so upset. That's when I realized, okay, I need me. Because again, it's like some of my friends, there's things I would never tell them. You know what I mean? Because it's like there's things that I just want to keep to myself. It's crazy because it may sound a little off, a little kooky, but I look at myself from the outside in terms of when I'm sitting alone, I just think of me at home with me, like me next to me. You get what I'm saying? So I don't feel like I'm. So I don't feel like I'm in here too much, because then I start feeling a little crazy. You know what I mean? And then and just anything that helps me feel like I don't need to go look elsewhere for anything. Because what I've noticed is these relationships I've been in back to back, and with my attachment issues and with my insecurities that I still do have, and just knowing that I'm still healing, I'm still pretty broken in ways. I don't always want to go run to someone, because what's going to happen when I move in a month or so, and I don't know anyone. You know what I mean? you can't always rely on people, you know, your mom, you can't.
And I was just thinking, I love you going through this process. I really feel that you can rely on yourself because you've done things. And it's like you said, some of it initially might be a fake it till you make it, or it's all the external, but then you brought the internal with that too. And now you've got both. And it's like, you can rely on yourself, and you've spent enough time, you know, healing with some of the things that you've been going through and listening to yourself and having some time alone. And like you said, some people that might not be how it works for them, but I love hearing that you can rely on yourself, and that you knew even a few things, like you knew LA wasn't working for me anymore, even though I'm sure there's probably 10 people who are like, are you crazy? This is the only place to be.
They can't even afford it. They can't even afford it.
Yeah.
Like, you guys literally have roommates. Like, is it that great of a city? It's poop everywhere. It's hot. It's overpriced. Like, is it that amazing? You know, to each their own, to each their own. I just, again, like, my line of work is just so, it's a lot to where I'm like, I just enjoy some of my money, at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And just the other steps you took, some which were big and some which were small, like having your boyfriend move out, or, you know, rehoming your dog. Those are big steps. But then the little things, like you say, sometimes it's just taking a walk, putting your phone on do not disturb. I love how you gave really practical things that people could do. Hey, I am here to tell you about my free manifesting short course that you can download below. It's 5 days of doodling and manifesting, getting you to look at manifesting in a fresh new way and getting that creative muscle working so you can start making new connections and seeing new things that you have never seen before. Go ahead and download that free course below. On any day. I mean, you might not kick your boyfriend out any day, but
get out. Why? We thought you were fine.
Anything else that you think that's a daily thing, or maybe even if it's not every day, but that you do on a frequent basis that you feel like really has helped you?
Showers. Taking showers. I usually will do like my usual morning shower. There's times where I will kind of wait until I have to take a shower, like I have to go do something. I get up, I make my cup of coffee, you know, and it's that little routine. It's having that little routine, especially morning routines. I'm a huge morning person. You know, I wake up at like 5 a.m. naturally. And so I just get excited for mornings and the day ahead of me. And so that routine, it makes me feel like my life is a little bit more together than it probably really is. And, you know, just getting up and getting fresh and ready to take on the day, like brushing your teeth. Don't always have to put on makeup, but, you know, getting decent to where you can feel like you can take on the world, to where you're like, because for me, I'll just be stuck in the house just because it's like, it's already 5 p.m. I don't need to, you know what I mean? Just any excuse not. And I feel like it's like, are half of the excuses we make for ourselves even like legitimate excuses? I mean, they're excuses, but are they legitimate reasons not to do something? Or are we just copping out? I cop out a lot. I'm a master procrastinator. The showers, and then just getting things done. Like, you know, I like to tidy my place. Again, I'm home majority of the time, but having that organization and having that structure, even though that's what I'm yearning for, that's why I'm moving to somewhere more slow pace to where I'm not too frantic. That little sense of feeling like the control, having that control, like, those little things make me not feel so helpless. You know what I mean? And it makes me feel like it's like, that one thing happened today. Fuck it. It doesn't matter. I come home to a clean house. You know, I come home, you know, and it's just the little things you have to. I think a lot of people can relate to this as to where if you've been without something, or you've had less than what you have now, or whatever the case may be, at some point you had a lack of something. When you get to a point where you have an abundance of something, or you have something you're happy and grateful to have, like, call me materialistic. I love my stuff. I have my stuffed animals. I just love the life I've created for myself, because again, what do you do when you make all that quick money? You go buy stuff. You know what I mean? Pay your bills and buy stuff, you know? And so it's like little things like that. That's what makes me happy. I think people need to try to find something in their daily life, in their world, that they just really love and appreciate. It could be your dog. It could be It could be like video games. It could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just find something to be happy about. It's
Mm-hmm.
easier said than done, but it's like, again, we all are going through some things. If I see someone stalking on the street, I'm going to give them a kind smile and keep pushing. I'm not going to go and say, be happy. No one's going to do that.
Yeah.
Some people in LA will, because it's just like weirdos out here. But you know what I mean? Like, you have to do a lot of stuff in life yourself, and picking yourself back up is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if we're cleaning every day as adults anyway, make it fun, just just little things to add that little pep in your step each day. It really does help. You know what I mean? It just, for me, not having control over my life, that's what drove me nuts. Because after that comes anxiety, comes worry, and now you're exhausted, and now I need a drink, and now I'm blacked out drunk, and I know myself very well, so I'm giving you like legit, like, you know what I mean? But it's like that for a lot of people, and we get so caught up on we get really hung up on things that just do not matter. And like I said, I love my things. They don't matter. If my place burned down, I'd probably take a couple things that are important to me. But again, I gratitude, not attitude. Every day, I could be pissy about something. I'll be like, you know what? At least I have this. At least I have this. Because at some point I didn't have this.
Right.
You know what I mean? At least I have just anything to express that gratitude. Because in the universe, when it sees and can sense that you believe, that you truly believe, I deserve these things. I'm supposed to have these things. You know what I mean? All that good energy. Good stuff keeps flowing, and it's almost addicting. Once you see, oh my God, wait, so me having that good of an attitude yesterday, now my day, it's addicting.
Yes.
Who doesn't want to be happy?
It is. So. It's so true. And I love, especially, I think about how in your industry, and then even not your industry, if you're a content creator or you're building a brand online, a lot of your success is based on other people to some degree. I mean, a lot of it's you, but you're always waiting to hear what they have to say. And I love how I love how you took that validation and control back, and you're like, in my space, I'm good. Like, I've got a clean space. I've got gratitude. Yeah. And I agree too, of when I need to shake off a bad mood, I'll take a shower, and I'm like, get rid of it. And it's a simple thing that you can also have more meaning. And like you said, it's your fresh start to the day, and you're coming out and you're like, if nothing else, I'm clean. And
you look good. You're fresh.
Yeah, exactly.
You smell good. Exactly.
Yes.
Because again, the thing is, what can we control in this lifetime? What can we control? You can't control everything. You don't want to be that crazy chick like, oh my God, because I was actually her once.
Yeah.
I actually was her. And again, this is during my depressive state. I think a year or two ago, and I just was so high strung and trying to control so much because I didn't have control over my life at all. Yeah. And I don't know what, there was just a switch. I think I painted my walls pink. That's what it was. I painted my walls pink. That. And I just started, like, I loved it here again. And I just started, producing my content. And as I would edit it, I'm like, wow, look at what I did. And me being that proud of myself, just, I felt like a kid again, like passing a test. I just felt accomplished.
Yes.
There's things you have to ask yourself what really matters to you at the end of the day. Because the advice I'm giving is literally just what works for me. And I have a different life than most. But all in all, just you have to talk to yourself, have a good relationship with yourself. Whatever that means for whoever's watching, that's, what you want it to mean. But just having a good relationship with yourself, because think about how many people who do not know themselves or do not have that with themselves at all. I can't imagine. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that was me at some point when I was, 20, 19. And then I got older, and I was kind of like, okay, I started feeling myself, and I got the quick porn money, and I got arrogant.
Yeah.
And life has a funny way of humbling people. I went through some things, and that's just the funny thing about life. Our experiences definitely make us, I don't want to say who we are, but they shape us into the people I feel like we're supposed to be, like our higher selves.
Right. I agree.
And think about it though, there's always that bad apple, in society that's just a little twisted or fucked up in a way. But that's why you go through life, and you notice at some point you look back, you're like, wow, look at how much I've grown up, I've changed. That's personal development is so important, and having that relationship with yourself, that's a part of what I believe personal development.
Yes.
Because what are you going to be around someone 24/7 coddling you? A yes man, you know?
I love you have touched my heart with how much you have shared and how honest you've been, and just it is really inspiring to think about what you've done, how committed you are to it, and what I feel like is the people you're going to continue to influence, both in their people who watch this and feel the self-love and think, okay, I want to do it too. And then other people you meet, and like how you said, you want to inspire other women in the industry to take that control over their own career and say, oh, maybe I can start this own production for myself. Because I agree with you. We're in a crazy time, and it's kind of it's definitely a crazy world, but also we have technologies that, 100 years ago, no one would have ever dreamed of, that allow you resources. And so it's like when you've got that confidence and you start, sometimes it's just small accomplishments that build up. And like you say, you look at what you did and you think, oh, I made that video and then I edited that video. And that just builds upon itself again and again. And I love it like so much.
It's like a childlike feeling of how you would get that gold sticker and you're like, Mom, gold sticker I got. and it's funny, I'll find myself when I'm being creative and I'm kind of looking at my products and the products of my work. And I'm taking it all in. It's like I'm having a gold sticker moment with my inner child. My inner child's like, oh my God, and it's just like such a, like, I'm getting mushy, but it's just that is just such an important thing to tend to, is your inner child, because we were all children at some point, and I've always been pretty mature for my age, but I try not to think about why I am. I think I just am that way. But there's people who were robbed of their childhoods and things like that. And so as we get older and we're dealing with this hustle and bustle, we just can't forget to do these things that make us feel that joy again, because that dopamine that gets released, that excitement about, look what I did. Now the possibilities are endless. And it's like you get that momentum and you're unstoppable, but it comes from that self-belief. You now see what you can do, and you know how much work it took, you know what I mean? And now you know what you're capable of. You don't need to go get it from other people. No, don't get me wrong, I like attention, I like to get the compliments and all that, but there's times where I'm like, I'll brush them off because maybe I don't believe that. And again, you got to start somewhere. I'm speaking from like, I went through some things, and looking back, I'm like, God, like, I remember at those moments, I didn't know how I was ever going to be to where I am now mentally, just happy with myself, just free. And I still have my issues. I still have my days. But even the way I deal with bad news now, I kind of like let it roll off my shoulder, because what am I going to do about it?
Yeah, right.
There's only so much I can do about things. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably my best self-love. Self-love advice is just, again, have that good relationship with yourself, especially when it comes to just loving yourself for who you are. It's easier said than done. With social media, we're exposed to so much unhealthy crap, especially when it comes to image and worth and character. And we're always being judged. That's one thing I don't like about these days. It's just so much judgment. Everybody wants to point a finger and put it on someone. Like, how about you just mind your business? But no, we can't do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't see change anytime soon. So again, believe in yourself. You'll be fine. Take a nice bath, take a shower, brush your teeth, get all fresh, shake everything off. A lot of times, things aren't as bad as they seem. And I don't want to sound like I'm coming from a place of like being tone deaf.
Right.
But there's some things that you'll be upset over, and they don't have to ruin your whole day.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? They really don't.
Yes. And it's in life, sometimes we do have the big things that are dramatic, but then other days it's like you said, take a shower, brush your teeth, go to bed early if you can, try to not drink to pass out. And I love to the painting, because I don't know if you sell your paintings or if it's just for yourself, but I love when you shared about that, because also having that creative outlet of, I'm just doing this, I'll do it for a little while and then go do something else. It's another place. It's like you get to choose what paint you put on the canvas. And even if you sell your art, then it's something that you're still the one who's choosing, okay, I'm going to create it in this way. So you gave us so many things to think about. And I'm going to I'll include ways that we can follow you and connect with you. Is there one parting idea or concept or big thing that you want us to take away, that you want to leave people with?
Keep smiling. Some guy in Arizona in Uber told me to keep smiling. I was like, but it was just such a nice compliment, you know what I mean? And I took a lot from that, but yeah, keep smiling. And, you know, again, there's people who have, you know, that could be going through some mental things, but smile and don't stop smiling. Smile, laughter, smiling, it's the best medicine. It's contagious. You know what I mean? Get some sun, get out the house, get off the phone. Just be in the present. I think what we really do have to remember going forward in this lifetime with how advanced things are getting, and especially what we saw with the pandemic, you gotta just get outside in the real world, interacting with humans. Because look at how annoyed I can get with someone calling my phone. This person's not even in my face. And now I'm so annoyed by this dumb text to where I don't want to go outside and socialize with regular people. Because you see what I mean? And again, it's like, go outside, touch some grass, you know, look at nature. I love to look at nature when I'm feeling down, because it just, me too. We're nothing but mammals. You know what I mean? Like we're all here on the same mission. You know, sometimes you got to get out of your bubble and realize, hey, we're all going through things. It could be worse. And keep it moving. And I hope it doesn't sound dismissive to anybody about like keep it moving part, but what can we do? You know? Father time doesn't care. Father time doesn't care. So.
I think you're right. And is there one platform or two that you especially want us to connect with you on, or are any of them equally good?
Well, my Instagram is probably the safest for work. So that's going to be Sommer's World. So SOMMERZ World.
And I'll have that linked too.
Yes. And then other than that, I mean, once you go to that, you'll find all my other stuff. So
excellent. Well, thank you so much.
This was amazing, Rachel.
Oh, you were so amazing, Sommer. I love, my heart just feels expanded and like it's grown, and I feel more confident and happy, and just love how much you've done for you. And I feel the ripple effects of what you're doing for others too. That
thank you.
Joy to my heart. So
I appreciate it. Well, I can't wait to see who else you like have one out, because it's just such a good, like, again, I love self-love, and I send my mom, my friends stuff like this. So I can't wait to see what other wonderful people you have on here.
Oh, thank you.
And
yes. Oh, well, thank you so much. And thank you for being willing to do this, because I know your time is really precious. So,
when you already told me what it was, I was like, absolutely. 100%. That's up my alley.
Awesome. And where are you moving to?
I'm moving to Arizona. I'm going to move to Phoenix. I went for my first time for like a 3-day weekend, and I was expecting Arizona to be like kind of like a smaller town, but it was so nice and chill. It wasn't that hot. It's like literally 105 today here in LA. So it's not much of a difference, and it's cleaner. It's very it's my rent. I have a way nicer place for like a fraction of the price.
Wow.
And it's, you know, there's just it's a nice kind of suburban vibe in my opinion. I'm not much of a city girl. So the shopping is nice, the food, it's a no-brainer in my position. That's why I came right back and just started applying to places. So
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, good luck over the next month of doing all your stuff to get ready for the move. I'll see you soon.